Welcome to the very first episode of the Greekosophy channel. My name is Stam. I'm chilling out at the moment because of the lockdown restrictions. No traveling abroad, so it's a good opportunity to give you 10 tips of how to eat like a proper Greek.
Before you even sit down in a Greek table, it's very important to know that Greeks love food. And I mean, they love it. They really love it. They adore it. I mean, years and years ago, I don't know if there still exists, there used to be adverts around the Christmas and Easter period asking people not to eat so much because they're going to have heart attacks and all sorts of problems. So you can understand that Greeks live to eat. If you're invited to a Greek house for a meal, make sure you haven't eaten for the whole day. Even if you're absolutely stuffed to the hilt, if there's a little bit of piece of meat or vegetable or anything on the table, you are still gonna eat.
Just to give you an idea what a typical Greek meal is, this is a table set for just 5 Greek people. All photos are from my personal family and friends gatherings, and this is a table full of mezes for just 3 persons. Lots of food, as you can see, and the last photo is a gathering of friends and neighbors, and as you can see, plenty of food, which is something to expect in a Greek table.
In Greece, you surround everything with food. Even if you go out for a drink, for an alcoholic drink, you're still getting served even crisps, fruit, dried nuts. They would like to have something to eat all the time. So be prepared to eat a lot, good food, but be prepared to eat a lot because there's no way around it. Greeks and Greek culture is very much about food. Having a meal in Greece is very much a social event, okay? You're not gonna go to a restaurant, sit down, get the menu, have a look, order, eat, pay, go within 30 minutes. That's not gonna happen, okay? In Greece, when you go out for a meal, or even if you sit in somebody's home, you sit down, things are spread around the table, you eat slowly, you have a chat, you have everything about politics, about football, about any topic you can imagine. You have a drink, still a few nibbles, a bit more coming in, then the fruits, the desserts. Somebody might start singing, whatever, and you end up for hours and hours on the table. Even if you go have a discussion, you're not going to sit from the table. Everybody's still sitting on the table, and by the time you realize it, it's dinner time and more food is coming out. So be prepared to relax, chill, and use that meal as a social event. It's a great time to speak to people, get to know them, find out anything you want to find out, talk about anything you would like to talk, and enjoy the food. Number 3 is very important because unlike most countries in the world that breakfast plays a massive part, Greeks really don't have breakfast. I mean, we say in Greece that a Greek breakfast is a coffee and a cigarette. And pretty much that's true for most Greeks. So Greeks don't have any breakfast, or if they do, there might be a slice of cake with coffee or tea, maybe a little pastry or something like that, but not a massive meal. Then you have a late lunch. They have a late lunch. Around 2:30, maybe sometimes 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and a very late dinner around 9:30, 10 o'clock, even later. And they tend to eat a lot during lunchtime and during dinner time. Now you might think, well, how are they gonna go without anything to eat until lunchtime? If you get a bit peckish, you can go to one of those pastry shops and get yourself an amazing cheese pie, spinach pie, ham and cheese pie, lots of pies, or to a bakery and you can get, you know, sandwiches or croissants or things like that. Just a little bit of nibble until it's lunchtime. So once you're in Greece, make sure you try and follow that, okay? If you really want to blend with Greeks, you really have to make sure that you have a late lunch and a late dinner. Otherwise, if you're going to go to lunch at 12 o'clock, you are going to end up with all the tourists, and you're not going to really experience, you know, the Greek life as me and Greeks know it. So lunch is normally 2 to 2:30, and then dinner is until you're hungry in the evening. Okay, another thing to be aware about, and because as I said, a Greek meal is a social event, is that when you sit down at a table, you don't normally order for your own things. And in Greece, you don't normally have like a starter or a main or a dessert. That's not really the norm. You sit down as a group, even if you don't know people around the company. It's a social event, as I said, and you sit down as a group and you order as a group. So, you know, if there's 10 of you and you say, well, let's start with a couple of 2-3 mezes per person, you know, you order as a group, everything comes in the middle of the table and you share. Okay, sharing on a Greek meal is very important. It's not my main, it's not my starter, or not my main. Even drinks are shared. So it's not like, oh, I'm gonna order a beer for me or whatever. You know, you will find occasions where you will sit on a table and everybody will like a beer, and you get 4 people sitting and only 2 bottles of beer, and one only is opened and it's shared between the 4 people, and once they drink that, the next bottle, and then the next bottle comes, etc. But this is how Greeks like to do things when they sit down for a meal. You share everything, you put everything in the middle, and you start. It might start with just a few mezes initially, which, trust me, it's a lot anyway if you're non-Greek. And then some platters will come with meat, with, you know, vegetarian dishes, with, you know, fish, seafood, and, you know, you keep going until really you're full up. But there's no such thing as, oh, I'm going to order my starter, this is my starter. There are occasions, obviously, that one person would like to try something that the rest of the company does not. That's not a problem. They will still order it. It will still go in the middle of the table, and, you know, some other people would like to try it, or the person that ordered it will eat it by themselves, but they're not going to take the plate next to them. Okay, the plate is still in the middle of the table. So what's the most important thing in a Greek table? It's not Greek salad, okay? It's not moussaka, it's bread, okay? You will not find a Greek house that will not have bread on the table, okay? We love bread, and not sliced toasted bread, proper loaf, sourdough type, whatever you want to call it. But the first thing that arrives on the table, even in the restaurants, but even at home, is bread. We love bread. We don't put butter in it, you know, its own. Even when we have pasta, we will eat bread. Even if we have potatoes or chips, we will have bread. Even if we just have bread, we'll still have bread with it. We love bread. Okay, so it's very important that you are aware of that, because a lot of people getting confused when they go to Greece and they sit in a restaurant and suddenly the waiter, before even saying hello, brings some bread. And they think that, you know, oh, I don't want that, you know, but don't charge me for that. It's because Greeks eat bread all the time. And, you know, we don't do that, you know, vinegar mixed with olive oil, dipping bread type of thing. Now, they might do it in Italy, but if you see that in Greece, that is a touristy thing. In Greece, we don't do that. No. And as I said, we don't put butter on our bread. We eat it just as it is. It's delicious anyway. So you use your bread to dip sauces, dip it in the Greek salad, you know, the mixture of the olive oil and the tomato juice. It's really nice on its own, but, you know, not fancy thing. Be prepared to get shocked when you sit in a Greek table, because normally when you order fish, it's going to come with the head on. Okay, and that's because parts of the head some Greeks like to eat. Be prepared to use your hands to either clean the fish from the bones or even eat meat. The majority of the times, Greeks do not normally use knives when they eat, unless it's a steak or something that really needs to be, cut. So if you go to a house, for example, it's quite common that you will see on the table when you sit, you only have a fork or even a spoon if you have a soup. And that's because we use only the fork. If we want to push something on the fork, we use a bread. Another thing is that when the meat comes on the table or the fish, it's very common to use your fingers. So if it's meat on the bone, you just grab the bone and you eat the meat. Don't get frustrated, etc. if you sit on a table full of, especially up in the mountains and villages and stuff, and suddenly you see the local Greeks grabbing chunks of meat with their hands and eating them, or taking the bones of fish. That is something common. Be prepared to try that. You're in a different country, different culture, different ways of doing things, so you can try it. You might like it. I have seen people in the UK, for example, that they sit down to eat a gyro and they have a knife and a fork. This is pretty much like getting a Mars bar and sitting and eating it with a knife and a fork. It seems weird to a Greek, and it might seem weird to non-Greek when you see Greeks, using their fingers and their hands and, cutting chunks of meat, etc. But this is, it is a very enjoyable thing to do. Trust me, you will like it. It brings the animal out of you sometimes, maybe, but it's very enjoyable. And, using all your senses to experience food is a great thing. It's not only have to look good or smell good or taste good. Sometimes you need to feel it in order to enjoy it more. Okay, you have to learn to eat slowly. Not necessarily eat slowly in the sense that get something in your mouth and chew it for like 10, 20, 40 times, because generally Greeks eat very fast. But on the other hand, Greeks eat a lot of food. So as a non-Greek, if you eat very fast, you end up not eating a lot of food. So the main thing to remember is that take your time. If you sit in a Greek table, you're not gonna get up and leave within half an hour, 40 minutes. You're gonna sit at least for a couple of hours, at least. So make sure you enjoy, you take it slowly, you communicate with the people, you start debating, you start celebrating. Sometimes, after a few drinks especially, somebody will have a guitar maybe, or a friend that has a guitar, or you have no guitar, and a few songs will start creeping in and people joining in. And if you're lucky enough, some dancing will start and you can join in. But make sure that you don't start very fast and suddenly become very full, because that will ruin the experience for you. That is one of the most important things. If you start with ouzo or with any other alcoholic drink, whether it's raki or tsipuro or even wine or beer, make sure you continue with that. Okay, you will not sit to drink starting with ouzo and then moving on to beer and then continuing to wine and then moving to metaxa brandy. Greeks drink a lot, but they frown upon something who's absolutely drunk out of his mind. They don't like that, and therefore, because they always eat something with their drink, it's very rare that you see a Greek absolutely legless, okay, and throwing up. That's been frowned upon big time. So normally if Greeks start with ouzo, it's because they're not going to have a full meal. Well, it will be a full meal if you're not a Greek, but for them it will be a few nimbles, a few mezes to go with the ouzo, and they will continue like that. If they decide then to move on to something more substantial, they will most probably stick to ouzo, or the people who have ouzo, they will continue to that. But it's very rare, I personally only have seen it maybe once or twice, that they will drink something else as an alcoholic drink. We always stick to what we started with. Otherwise, if you start mixing alcohol, it's a bad idea. A great night will end up being a really bad night, and the day after, Okay then, if you're thinking of the Greek experience, which means a belly dancer or plate smashing or shouting "Opa" every other sentence, then you most probably ended up in a tourist trap. Okay, you see, Greeks don't really say "Opa" in every other sentence. We say "Opa" maybe a couple of times when we dance, but that's really about it. Okay. And we don't have belly dancers. You know, I have not seen, you know, sat in a Greek restaurant and seeing a girl in the corner, you know, hiding her face and looking for me finishing my meal so she can start belly dancing. That's not the case. And plate smashing has been outlawed since the 80s. Only in the house, sometimes among families and stuff, you might see the odd plate smashing, and you will find the woman of the house actually screaming at you and getting in trouble. But plate smashing nowadays is more accidental rather than intentional. So if you're abroad and you think that the Greek experience is about shouting "Opa," belly dancing, or having actually belly dancers, not belly dancing itself, belly dancers and plate smashing, that's not how it works in Greece. We do belly dancing ourselves because there are some traditional Greek songs that have been influenced by the Middle East, which type of music that is called tsifteteli, and we do a little bit, you know, the women or sometimes the men do a bit of belly dancing, but we don't have belly dancers in Greece, in Greek restaurants. No, it will be a major tourist trap that will have belly dancers for you. Okay, obviously in the past 10-12 years Greece has experienced a massive economic crisis. So what I'm about to tell you, maybe sometimes it's not necessarily now true. So I will start with how I used to experience Greece when I was living in Greece. And you will not find anyone going Dutch, especially if you go out with friends. The big theme when there was time to pay the bill was actually fighting over who's going to pay it. And the reason for that is somebody will fork out for the whole bill, and the next time you all go out, the next person will do that, and then the third time, the next person, etc. We will not come out with calculators and say, I had 25 grams of Greek bread and 35 milliliters of beer, therefore this is. Nothing like that. In fact, you know, Greek waiters sometimes get in trouble because that person from the table will come to them and say, listen mate, you know, you see that table over there? Don't take any money for them, I'm paying. Said, no problem. And then after a while, another person from the table comes to the waiter and says, you know, did you see that table over there? Don't take any money for them, I'm gonna pay. And the waiter says, sorry mate, the other person has just said the same. So no, he's just a foreigner or a visitor or whatever, don't take any money. So a massified will and humours probably at the end of the day for who's going to pay the bill. But as I said, nowadays, because of the really tough economic conditions in Greece, you will find occasions, or maybe that's especially in the big cities the occasion, where especially for young people, they will say, okay, how much is the total bill? Okay, we will divide it by so many people, and they will, you know, put the money up on the table and they will pay. But if you go to villages and stuff like that, and especially if you're a foreigner or a visitor and somebody invites you to their table, it will be most probably quite insensitive to say I'm going to pay for the whole table or for myself. Most often than not, they will say, don't worry, that's mine, I'm paying for that. And if they say that, you know, accept it and say thank you, and if you see them again, then invite them to the table and you pay the bill next time. But that it's something very Greek, ingrained in us. It's part of our hospitable character, part of Greek hospitality. We like to give people something of our culture, and we like to see them happy when they sit on the table and enjoy a meal with us. So that was really it, folks. I hope you liked the 10 tips, and I hope you're ready now when you visit Greece to be able to put some or most of them into action. If you like this video, please subscribe at the bottom, press the bell as well so you can be notified when any new videos come up. from Greekosophy. And also, if you like the video, press the like button and let friends know about this. We will try and put videos up as frequently as possible. Hopefully, with the lockdown now easing up, we might find the opportunity to go to Greece and do a few videos from there. But if not, there's plenty of things to tell you, so you can take with them when you go to Greece. And if it's the first time for you to go to Greece, make sure that you watch this channel.